Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Yeah?
Yeah, can hear you.
Wow, lots of new things on Google Meets that I haven't seen before. That's cool. Media. I'm gonna try to record.
It is recording, Joaquim. I checked.
Okay, so you think it will be enough with just this recording?
Oh, if you want to, if there's something else you'd like to do, go ahead.
I think I might just do this. Full screen. Just waiting for everybody to chime in here, join us. All right, let me see. Is there a chat in here I can use? Yeah. How many do we got here? 9. Is there, yeah, more? Let's wait like 2 more minutes and I'll get started. Actually, while we wait, type in the chat where you're located right now. Let's see a little bit like who we're doing with. Chicago. I'm actually currently in Greece right now, believe it or not. Armenia, not too far. Who else do we got here? Get a view for this. And let me make sure that sharing screen works well here. Sri Lanka, that's next on my list to visit. No, that's not the window I want to show. This one. Yeah. I can annotate. Everybody can see my screen. Looks good. Yep. All right, 2 more minutes. I'm gonna give you a little bit of an insight in our own, like this is like Unfiltered, our own internal workspace, stuff that we work on. So obviously we use Nebula to build Nebula. And so you're gonna see yeah, a little bit of a insider view here. So hopefully it's good stuff, and we'll record all of that for you to rewatch or for sharing for people who can join as well. All right. So before I start, I need to know who I'm talking to. So I like to start with a little survey. Can you type 1 in the chat if you ever used Nebula before? A little 1 in the chat. Trying to see how much do I explain here. So just type a little 1 in the chat if you've used Nebula before. Okay. I realize that maybe some of you are watching on phone and stuff. It might be hard to type in chat. You can do a little, maybe a little reaction. 0.5. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm just gonna go from the top then. So here's a fully kind of populated Nebula workspace. And so I'm already throwing a keyword here. Workspace is a place where your team and your agents collaborate together in the same space. So you can have multiple of those workspaces. I have a personal one, and this is our professional one that we use to build Nebula. So you can see there's a few members here, 10 people, 7 online right now. And these are my agents. I'll go through other ones. And then these are my threads. So threads are basically chats with your agents. So it's kind of what you would expect. So it's me talking to my agent and then getting work done. And those are organized in threads, so you can kick off new ones and tag different people, different agents to do the work. That's kind of like the most basic core. Now, we have a few entities that I want to walk through because it's important to know those entities. Nebula is a power tool. Once you kind of know how it works, you can get a lot out of it, but it takes a little bit to get familiarized. It's different from your classic Claude or ChatGPT where it's just a chat. We have more than that. So let's walk through it. So when you talk in a thread, you talk with agents. By default, everybody gets a Nebula agent that you can customize. I like my R2D2 one. And then you can create agents specialized for anything. So here are my agents, but in our workspace, there's actually 92 agents, all with different jobs, all with different skills, capabilities, etc. For example, Eamon made this workshop agent to manage the workshop that we're in right now. We have video agents, we have engineering agents, we have revenue, Sentry, meta. So all sort of different ones that all have different jobs. And these are kind of like your teammates. These are your roster, and they collaborate with any member. And we'll see a little bit how the sharing with other members works here. Agents perform jobs. Jobs, you can think of them as either recurring things that the agents have to do, or event-based jobs that get triggered from an action. So I have a few here, and once again, these are all the jobs that the team has created that is running constantly in our workspace. All the agents get to work autonomously. We do not prompt these, they just keep running. And I'll walk you through some examples that I think are interesting in my day-to-day workflow. Then we have mini apps. So mini apps are kind of internal applications that you can build with any of the agents that let you have kind of dashboards or little workflows. So these are mine. I have our product metrics right here. I look at this every day, and I could look at this in different platforms, but this is actually aggregating Metabase and Posthoc for me, and it's presenting only what I need. This is how I like to look at our data, and so I just built a mini app for it. Similarly, I have one for production operations that kind of gives me, okay, how's the health of our backend? And all of this happens through a mini app, and I'll show you how we create those. And then we have, I'm going to skip over calls right now, but I'll leave it as a bonus at the end. but this lets you get on a call with your agents and your team. You can see there's one right now happening in our workspace. And then there's one other thing that's important as an entity, it's device. Because agents, to do work, they need a computer. And that computer can be a local computer, but more likely than not, you're going to use a cloud computer. And so we let you create any number of these cloud computers. And they're full-on computers with their own file system, their own sizes, and you can see which agent has been attached to it. We're going to talk about that. So it's a full file system here that I can navigate and store things into. Really important to store everything that the agents has been producing, but also services. So you can run apps, you can have servers running, you can have websites, everything. So that's the summary of the whole platform. You have threads. Threads is talking to agents. Agents can run autonomously with jobs and can create internal applications for you. And all of this runs in cloud devices. So now that you know the core entities, we can go into the details on how I use Nebula to build Nebula. But before I do that, I want to make sure, pause for a second and see if there's any questions in the chat. I see there's a few now. I wasn't looking at it. Nebula GG, yeah. Eamon, please moderate the chat for me. And yeah, so let me know if there's any questions. And by the way, at any point in the presentation, feel free to interrupt me. You just raise your hand with the Google Meet tool and feel free to ask questions. So as I said, these 5 entities represent the whole platform. Once you understand those entities, you can start putting together how to use them effectively. So let's look at the first entity, agents. So these are my agents, and I want to show you some of them that I use a lot. So we have this ops engineer here, which I created. This is our kind of backend specialist, and it has a few jobs that it does, like this continuous production error elimination that I'm going to show you later. This guy basically runs autonomously, looks at our backend health and logs, and every time he sees something off, it makes a PR for me. Now I'll show you how I set that up. And then for every agent, you can customize their behavior. So how do we do that? There's a few levers you can pull. There's a system prompt, which is in addition to the base system prompt that all agents have to customize behavior. So this is something you want to load for every turn. So this is kind of like really core information. And then we have skills. And skills are probably the most important bit because skills are not loaded at every turn, but the agent can invoke it on demand. And so here I have really important ones like this one, for example. It's all of our engineering practices that we use at Nebula encoded in this skill. And the agent inherited, so every time I ask it to do a PR or every time I ask it to do something in the repo, it will load this skill and make sure it follows the rules. It has things, for example, like how to look up our logs in production. We use Google Cloud, so all the GCP instructions are here. And it also has memory. So memory is kind of the third component here, which it can save some important pieces of data to not have to research it every time, but retrieve it on the fly. For example, our production Google project ID here. So this is our ops engineer, and I want to show another thing which is quite important. First is this, for every agent, you can choose which model it's going to run as. And we have, I think, 300 plus models to choose from here. So you can really go custom with those. We recommend using the Nebula model. Obviously, that's the one that we optimize and train for the platform. So here you can see it's running Nebula Max, and it's running on a particular device. So you can see here, I can actually attach it to another device so that when it does its work, it writes files and it reads files from the device that I chose. So here it's running on this shared edge computer. And then this is where the multiplayer collaboration happens. We can collaborate on this agent together. So actually, I shared this agent is restricted, so it's not visible to all the members of the workspace. But I did share it with Furkan and Killian as editors. That means they can edit the skills, they can edit the system prompt, they can add tools and change the avatar if they want to. So we collaborate, us three, on this. So us three engineers on this particular agent. And that's actually, I think, really powerful, because imagine like creating an agent that really does what you want takes a bit of time, right? Like you need to kind of prompt it to say, well, this is how I want my things to work, and create the skills for that, or research that, and then internalize this memory. All that takes time. But when you're multiple people like customizing this agent, you go way further together and make a way better agent out of it. So this is a great example of one that we use all the time and has a lot of usefulness for us. So I'll show you a few examples. Another one is, so obviously you can see kind of how I use them. Here you can see these two agents. They're actually been created by Furkan. So for example, this post-hoc agent here was created by Furkan, but he shared it with me as an editor. And so I collaborate on it, and I added a few things. This guy has the post-hoc tool. It has a few jobs, and also has like some post-hoc related skills to make sure that it pulls the data with context of our products. And have a few more here. CyberJoy is like you can see these like private icons when it's public versus shared. This one is fully private to me, and it runs on my private device right here. So I kind of do my own things with it. It has a few connected things. It has my own accounts connected as well. And it has a few different skill like end-to-end testing. So this is kind of the core of an agent, I would say. The good agent is made of a good prompt, a collection of skills that make sense for his role, and access to tools that it needs. So here, Sentry, GitHub, Metabase, all that are useful for him for this agent. But also, I wanted to show something. This ops engineer, you can see it actually has no tools, but it has skills to know how to query logs using CLI tools. So because it has access to a full device that has a full file system and full compute, it can use any tool on that device, which means that actually it can use any install and use any CLI. So the way it does a lot of the querying of data for me is actually just by using the CLI, and it learned how to use the CLI and created a skill for itself. So that takes me to some of the jobs I wanted to show you, and I'm going to check the chat to make sure there's no questions. Let me know again. Just raise your hand if you want to talk out loud.
Did you want to talk a little bit, Joaquim? There has been some questions about, so the skills. I know there's also workspace level skills, Joaquim. And the fact that we also have a registry, I don't know if that's also, just thinking about the different ways that skills both get, I guess, brought into the workspace and can be associated.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we do have something important here that I haven't really mentioned is as you create these agents and add them skills and create memories for it, what you're doing is actually enriching the whole workspace brain is kind of how we call it. And it's kind of building up this internal knowledge. So memories is one and skills is one as well. So when people create skills, it will show up for the whole workspace. And we also have a registry that you can search for. For example, I think it will pull a few different sources and kind of gets you started. Um, I need, yeah, I need to double check those. I think personally, like these are cool, and you can take any skill out there that other people create and just add it to your agents. But I think the more interesting ones are the one that we create and the agents create themselves for themselves, because those are custom to your use case and your workspace. So, but yes, to answer your question, these skills that we create on these agents that are shared can be shared across the workspace and reused across. So let me move over to jobs, which is I think like one of the concepts that not many AI platforms kind of do well, but it's something that we had from the beginning, and I think it's quite crucial to make your agents work while you're not there. That's one of the main things we want from AI is be able to, work for us while we're not on a computer just glued at our screen. And to do that, there's a few ways. So jobs is the way we kick off agents without humans prompting it. And as I said, there's scheduled ones that run on demand, like every day or every week or every 6 hours, etc. And there's some that are more like events based. And so I'm going to show both. So one that I personally has changed my workflow a lot is this one, this continuous production error elimination. So let's look at the details of it. So it's run by the ops engineer and it runs every 6 hours. So every 6 hours, this agent will wake up. It will monitor all of our production logs and detect errors and anomalies and create PRs. Its goal is to achieve zero production error rate. That's his goal. And so every 6 hours, it will wake up, do a whole kind of workflow here that someone in the chat mentioned N8N. I didn't really set this up myself. I just said to my ops engineer, I want to make I want you to look at our logs every 6 hours, and your goal is to get to zero errors. And so it created these workflow steps, and I think I probably iterated on it once or twice to make it a bit better. And so you see it's been running consistently every 6 hours, and it will tell me every time which error types have happened, the impact. It will tell me how our trailing rate is, and it will tell me exactly like what happened, which PR. So because it has access to all of our tools, not only our production logs, but GitHub, and it has all the code locally, so you can look at all the codes. And it can decide, okay, is there already a fix for this in place, or was there something that explains this spike? And then if there is anything that's new that we haven't addressed, it will create the PR for me. So you can see it gives me a summary, and then it keeps continuing. And so this gives me like a lot of confidence for me to just make sure that our backend is running and there's no surprises there. And when there is a surprise, I usually have a huge head start with already a PR open. So this is basically what I would do like every day. Check our logs, check our Grafana, make sure there's no like error spikes and everything. And now I got an agent that does it for me. It's been massive transformation in my workflow. So that's for like pure kind of ops management, but there's also one I wanted to show, which is a more product driven one, which is this invite improvement pipeline. So this one runs with my private agents, CyberJoe. And this guy, every 2 days, it will, so again, like I didn't prompt it to do that. My original prompt was like, I want to improve a metric in our product. The metric in this case is number of invites sent. So invites to other members in your workspace. And let me actually refresh this one real quick. I just told my agent, like, this is my goal. I want to make sure that this metric keeps improving. So it created a job for itself that every other day it's going to analyze the metrics that I'm trying to move and implement a UI improvement in our website. It creates a PR, it sends me screenshots, and then it monitors the deploy for 48 hours. If it improves the metric, we keep it. If not, we revert the PR and try something else. And it's been running like it's the 12th run now. And actually, this PR that he made upped the metric by 17%. And so it keeps running. That's the flow. And so once you understand that you can do things like that, you can actually point your agent to any metric and ask it to create a job to improve that metric and let it kind of figure out the details there. Obviously, you need a little bit of kind of oversight. Like I look at the PRs that it builds. Sometimes I reject them. I tell him I'll try something different. But then sometimes they do look good. And he sends me like the screenshots of it and everything. And I'm like, okay, and I merge it. And 2 days later, I moved the metric by 17%. So that's a pretty huge workflow that we've been using more and more. Forcana has a similar one to improve billing metric of ours. So I think it's improving like the auto top-up rates. And same thing, like the agent runs, it measures, it tries something, waits a period of time, measures again. If it improves, keeps it. Otherwise, try something else. And that has been an amazing loop for us and really runs almost on its own. So highly recommend to try something like that. It's really, really powerful. Any questions before I move on? All good? And check on time too. Okay, good, good. So
one question I had for you, Joaquim, that's related to these. When it comes to the job monitoring itself, you know, is it primarily in Nebula itself, the application, or can you also get that, you know, kind of in other places? That might be worth mentioning as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here the flow that it actually does is, so you saw that CyberJoe has access to our metabase. So it actually just has two things that it uses here. One is GitHub to create PRs. And the other is I'm pointing it to basically our product metrics. And so this works with any product. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't just work with Nebula. You can actually do it with pretty much anything, as long as you give the agent a way to measure its changes. That's the big thing. You need to create like a self-closed loop. So the loop is measure the baseline, make a change, wait a bit, measure again. If it improves, you keep. If it decreases, you revert, and then you try something else. And that's the loop. And the agents are really, really good at that. And you can keep them pretty like in line with this flow, and just watch the results. It actually reminds me a lot of the inspiration was the Kaparthi, like I forgot the name now, but it's like that self-improving, like
Auto research.
research. Yeah, auto research. That's right. And so you can apply this to anything. And with Nebula, it's insanely easy to set up, because all you need to do is start a new thread and tell it, I want to improve this metric, like create a job for this, and it will do the rest basically. And at every run, if there's something you don't like, you say, hey, update the job to do this better or do this differently. So these two job examples were scheduled, so they're time-based, right? But there's also jobs that can happen event-based. So you can think of things like GitHub webhooks, for example. Let's say every release that comes out, you want to kick off a job. Maybe you want to do a full end-to-end test suites every time you push to production. This is really easy to set up as well. Again, you just start a new thread and say, I want to start a new job every time a GitHub release happen on this PR, and it will figure out everything there to wire up the dots. So this is something like some workflow builders let you do, but it's a lot of like canvas manipulation and putting the dots together. I think one of the big decisions we made early with Nebula is that all these workflows, you should be able to just describe them in a few sentences and the agent will do the rest. And it works the same whether it's scheduled or event-based. And so talk about event-based, I have these two here that are actually both event-based, but one thing that's cool, and so now I'm going to go into mini apps. Those are actually triggered by my mini apps. So let's go into mini apps and see what's special about those. So again, like these are mine that I use a lot, but our team has created a ton of mini apps here. You can see we have like internal apps for a lot of different things. People use it for, we use it for all hands. Every all hands, we make a new mini app with the stuff that we want to present. Or we have some video pipeline thing. We have galleries. Sometimes we showcase some stuff. And for me, my mini apps I use all the time. So I think I showed this one already. This one I look every morning. It's our product metrics. And this data here comes from our different sources, but is refreshed every morning by this agent, this product data analyst. And so if I look at my jobs, there's this dashboard data daily refresh that my agent just set up so that every morning it will run a full kind of script to pull all the data, write it to a file on its device, one of the devices, which then gets read by this mini app. So you can start thinking how this triangle happens here between this mini app, there's like a front end, and then in the back end, there's actually agents and jobs together doing the work. to present you this data. And once that clicks into you, there's a lot of capabilities that get unlocked here. So for example, I have my production ops here that I also look at every day, make sure like we don't have any like crazy error rate or anything that's unusual that I haven't looked before. And I made it so that, for example, I can click one of these spikes here, like, we got a spike of errors here at 3 p.m. And I can just click research this spike here. And what it will do, actually, I already researched it. But what it will do, it will kick off my agents. So I can kick off a different one here, for example, like this one. There's 60 here. Let me research this spike. And so here you can see it's sent something. Now, what did it send? What it actually did is invoke a webhook that triggered a job. And so the job here will start in a second if the demo gods are with me. But here we go. And so here, it should click in your brain now that these mini apps truly have agents as their backend. And it's all pre-wired up for you. Like Nebula system is made so to making these mini apps that kind of trigger agents or use data produced by agents is all wired up in one system, so it's incredibly easy to set up. And so here I can click a button and this will trigger my ops engineer, which will do the analysis that I would have to usually do when I see a spike like this in our graphs. Like before AI, I would see a spike and I would go in my logs and I would look at the time and I would filter by errors or try to do some stuff. And all of this would take my time. Now the agent can just do it for me. It will read the skill that we've preset up. It will use bash to fetch the logs on the cloud computer that it runs on. You can see the terminal happening here and everything that it's running. It can create files, and this will do the whole analysis for me. And when it's done, it will just present it for me in a nice format. This is something I use all the time because obviously as engineers, we watch our systems. We want to make sure everything's healthy. And it's a lot of repetitive work, actually, usually to like pinpoint an error, like why is there suddenly some 500s here? And you got to go and dig in. Well, if you set up your agents that way, well, they can do all the repetitive work for you and just present you the final result for you to decide what to do. So pretty big one here. And similarly, once you understand that you can trigger all sorts of jobs for your agents from these interfaces, you can create all sorts of things. Like I have this this work dispatcher here, which is just a way for me to like select a repo. I put a prompt here, like, change the background, and I dispatch it, and it will kick off this job right here to create the PR. And it has like a huge workflow there to do the whole thing end to end. Although you don't have to go that complicated, like to make a PR, now that I have these agents well set up and they have all the skills, I can just like prompt them right here. I saw there was a question, maybe. Did I hear something? Because he has some mini apps, the community could upload. Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that's amazing with the shared workspace is that every other day, like someone builds up an internal tool for us or some cool visualization or something, and they go like, check out the mini app I created in a workspace, and it's there. And so it's like, imagine you had like, I don't know, yeah, like a Slack plus, like Slack plus plus, where you can talk to your teammates, you can talk to your agents, you can get on a call with them, you can share screen, and you can create all these internal apps for each other, which is amazing.
And I would add to it that it also just ends up, you get these remixes. So myself at Nebula, folks, I'm responsible for kind of support and helping our customers. And so you can imagine now that that like my senior engineer, Joaquim, has put together a PR dispatcher. And someone who reports a bug or something, let's say it's not coming via your ops engineer, it's coming via our support agent who's getting the support emails. I can now leverage that same PR dispatcher to and or the underlying agent to essentially just take it end to end for some of the smaller things. So now it really gets cool, the remix that you get now when you have the team alongside the team's agents doing things.
Totally. And agents can also talk to each other. So you can imagine the kind of crazy workflows that you can create there, where like you click a button on the mini app and it triggers a job for one agent, which then produces some data or artifact or file, which is read by another agent to do an analysis. And like you can create like some really, really complex workflows here. So one other thing I wanted to show, and I'm gonna let it, it might take a little bit, so I kind of want to show you what I do all the time. So like if someone reports a bug, or maybe I'm using the app and I see a little something I want to fix. So what I do is I go to my home folder, either on the web or on desktop or the mobile app, and I go, for example, I want to use my agent, so I tag it, right? So I do @ I can tag like people or agents, right? So here I want to tag my personal engineer here, which runs on my private stuff. And let's say I want to say change the, what's something simple I can do? Change the background color of the landing page to pink and the headline to hello workshop, something like that. And the thing is, you can do this with any kind of coding tool, right? But I also wanted to do, so open a PR. So it will know how to do the whole workflow of like, it will create a work tree and like do all the things there to do the flow I kind of created the skills for, and run the app, take a screenshot, and show it to me. And this is the last bit that's like a little bit more tricky to do with some coding agent tools, is like it's not just going to do the change. It's going to do the change. It's going to open the PR. It's going to look at the CI checks, and it's going to look at comments on it, resolve any comments. And here I said run the app and take a screenshot. So it's actually going to run the full like Next.js app and so it runs on a cloud device, so it has all access to all the CLIs. So it's going to use a CLI to like launch a headless browser. It's going to run the local running app and capture a screenshot and send it to me. And so this is like the full loop that I use a lot when I just want to quickly kick off a PR and verify that it's done the full work here. I like to ask it to like send me screenshots at the end so that I can prove that it's done the job that I asked, basically. And so while I kick that off, I wanted to show one more thing, and looks like maybe my internet is struggling a bit. Just back home. Okay. So while this works, I can like kick off more of those. I can. This is something that we did as well, as we try to not kind of land you always in this like chat view here where things are happening, but you're not supposed to really like look at everything that it's doing here and just sit here and watch. Instead, we kind of encourage you to like stay in this view, and if I kick off more work, it's going to kick off more work here. And one thing that we've kind of been experimenting with, and it's something that's coming soon, so a little sneak peek here, although you can enable it and it's experimental, is this concept of call. So you can get on a call with your agent and just talk to it in real time and kick off PRs like that. So it's 9:46. Maybe I wonder if we want to leave this for another workshop, like the whole call thing. What do you think, Eamon? It is a bit. I had it as a bonus content for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd pause it and I'd say, just if people have use cases or questions, Joaquim, and we do have the 15 minutes, I would love for us to first attack that. If there's anybody who has a certain use case they have in mind, or just other questions you've seen. We're a small group, so just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Definitely, this is a good time to like ask us questions. Like we have a lot of experience with this stuff and setting up like AIs for teams and AIs for kind of companies, and try to get as much work done as possible via agents. So shoot your use case or your situation, and we can give you tons of advice, free advice. Take it. Is Nebula automatically set to max thinking X high? So we have this setting right here for the Nebula model that you can toggle between regular and max. So max is the equivalent of like the kind of ultra thing here. It will go it will go much deeper and think harder, while being a little bit slower. So you can toggle it on and off depending on the task. And of course, keep in mind that, we kind of offer all sort of models here. So we think Nebula is probably the most optimized for the platform because we kind of work hard on it. But you're free to like use any other model here and adjust cost and speed. Some of them are really fast and you might want for certain tasks. And keep in mind as well that you can change the model per agent. So for example, maybe this like Sentry one, which is mostly a tool caller, I can just like set to maybe a cheaper fast model, but maybe this, so right here. But maybe for my private like ops engineer, maybe I want like the maximum I can do. Or maybe I want to try a brand new model. Maybe, a little soul in here, see how it goes. So you can really go deep once you know what you're doing here. But
it might be helpful too, Joaquim, to show folks the built-in tools that are.
Yeah. Very good points. So all the agents I showed, the reason why they worked well is because they are connected to all of our data. And one thing I didn't show as well is our coding harnesses as well. So first, this like tool catalog here is something you can like force enable or have it on demand or completely off. And we have a lot of those built-ins here that can be useful for a lot of different use cases. And again, these are all kind of loaded on demand. And then we have like actual connected accounts. So here you can see we connected like our Sentry or Metabase, Revenue Cats, etc. And I think we have like, yeah, hundreds of tools available here for you to connect for any sort of like use cases. So this again like enriches your agents to have access to data of your company or your personal or just for your team stuff. And all of that is just you don't have to click any buttons. You just say like connect to LinkedIn, and it will just prompt you the right little UI for you to connect LinkedIn on the spot. You can also connect to any custom API. So you can see here we have like end variables, similar to how you put end variables on like Vercel or this type of like services. You can add environments here and connect to your custom APIs. So you really can read anything. And for coding in particular, you can log into your Anthropic or OpenAI account and use your plan to code with Claude Code, but it's Nebula prompt in Claude Code. And that's actually like amazing because Nebula actually prompts Claude Code better than you prompt Claude. You're gonna tell it like a loose prompt, and it will kind of do the whole thing here. Let's see if I can find the code. So it's creating the PRs. Yeah, and so these here, I think it just decided you don't even need Claude Code for this because it's such a simple change. So it just did it on its own. And but for any kind of more complex change, you will see like in the terminal and in the activity, the agent actually using Claude Code for you. And so you can connect either Claude Code or Codex here. And so, yeah, I think with this, like, it really becomes insanely powerful what your agents can do. Because again, the more context, the more data you give it, the more work it's going to do for you. And finally, we have these bots which let you invoke your agents through Slack, Discord, Linear, GitHub. And the GitHub one especially very important because it helps you like create PRs that is not just from my accounts, but from the Workspace account. So here, I think it created the PR here. You might not see it because I'm not sharing it. And where is it? So yeah, so let me see if I can share this just to show you. Switch window here. Yeah, there you go. So here, you can see it's done by the Nebula AI agent bot. You can see the little, it still has my little avatar in the commit here, and it has my name in the commit message. And so you like in our repos, there's like dozens of these PRs coming from the Nebula AI agent. And so we kind of annotate who it comes from this way. And you can see it also on the commits, little avatars. And it just goes. So I wonder if it's actually doing the screenshot I asked for now.
There was a question as well, Joaquim, about our CLI and desktop app.
Yeah. Any updates on CLI desktop app for Nebula? Yeah, exactly. So we actually have a brand new desktop app that just came out yesterday. You should go to nebula.gg/downloads is where you can find it. And what you get is basically like a full-on desktop app with all the capabilities I just showed. So agent, jobs, mini apps, devices, and calls, but all in the desktop instead of web, which I'm personally very excited about. And we have all of this as well in a kind of terminal UI with our CLI. And that allows for very powerful kind of automation. We have one of our engineers, he just redid all of his home automation with Nebula using the CLI. The CLI connects to all of his like home, like NAS and lights and doorbells and all the things. So it's yes, it's for Linux too, both the desktop app and the CLI. And don't forget the mobile app as well, Android and iOS. It's out there. We put a lot of love into it too, because personally, I talk to my agents on the go all the time, more than on my desktop. So yeah, check it out there. Yeah, so for what metric do you use for task success, and what does a successfully completed job typically cost end to end? Yeah, that's a great question. So again, it depends like how you set up your models mainly and kind of what you use for it. Because for example, let me show you again the settings. So you can see here, this is the Nebula models, right? With the cost. This is like the Anthropic and OVS. So you can see kind of the cost difference there. So you kind of, it really goes magnitudes difference depending on which model you choose for the job. That's why it's so important to get a feel for what models are good at and when you can sacrifice kind of intelligence for speed, and also like when you want that intelligence and when it's worth it. And then if you're doing, for example, a job that does like video generation, which we do a lot, that adds another cost into play because those are external models. And so they add on top. If you do like sound composition or also transcription, those are also come separately. And I mean, jobs can literally run for years, right? Like for this job right here, I kind of gave it the goal to get to 0 production error, 0. I mean, I would be very, very impressed if we get to completely 0, because like there's always a little something, right? And this is a complex system. Like we talk to third parties. There's like stuff that we can't control, so we'll never get to 0. So this will literally run forever. But each call on its own using here it's using Nebula Max, but I could probably not use Max for this because the workflow is so well defined that you can actually use a cheaper, faster model here, and it will do just a great job too. And so with the Nebula model, like this cost me like a few cents per run. Like it's really cheap. And it's insane value for me personally. Like this gives me so much confidence in our system and actually saves me like hours work. So those cents are worth it. But yeah, that's something we try to do like with our Nebula model. We really try to make it cost effective so that you don't really have to think about these long running jobs, because that's what agents are really good at. It's just this, we want them to run for a long time. I want to like point it to a metric and let it run for months until that metric gets to the point where I want. without thinking about the cost too much. And so that's why we try to keep our Nebula model costs like as low as possible, so you can get this running for days.
All right, I know we're hitting up on time here, Joaquim. Yeah. Maybe we take one more question. I know the semifinal game is also starting here in a couple minutes. So we're competing against France, Spain right now.
Oh, that's a tough one to beat. I also really want to watch it. A fun fact to finish the thing: I was born in France. Both my parents are Spanish. Who do I cheer for? It's a tough one, but I know it's going to be a great game.
Well, you for wherever your wife's from is Joaquim. My advice to you. Okay, wherever she's from, that's who you vote for.
I'm rooting for France. I really want a Messi Mbappe finals. It's going to be the clash, the final clash. It's going to be beautiful to see. Anyways.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. Recording will be posted within the next, day or so, and you all will receive links to that, and it'll be also available on YouTube and on our website. I pinned a code. If those of you who've yet to try Nebula, give that a shot. Gives you enough credits to get some of your first agents and these workflows set up. And then we can always be reached at support@nebula.gg as well if you have questions or run into any issues.
Thank you everyone for listening to me for a whole hour. Appreciate you all, and can't wait to see what crazy workflows you do with your agents. Well, let's get it. Peace, everybody. Bye.